The flight was supposed to be routine, just another long haul across the country, until a simple cup of coffee turned into a moment no one could ignore. As the plane soared above the clouds, a white passenger accidentally spilled a drink on a sharply dressed black lawyer sitting nearby. At first, it seemed like just an embarrassing accident, a minor inconvenience to brush off with a napkin, but this was no ordinary spill. What happened next would set the stage for a story that would captivate everyone on board. The lawyer, known for her calm demeanor and sharp mind, didn't just sit quietly. She handled the situation with professionalism, but her eyes hinted at something brewing beneath the surface. Meanwhile, the passenger, flustered and apologetic, had no idea that a chain of events had already been set in motion that could turn this flight into a legal battleground. As the hours ticked by and the plane descended toward its destination, the tension grew. A court order, unexpected and urgent, arrived addressed to the very people involved in the spill. The cabin buzzed with whispers, passengers sensing that something bigger than a simple accident was unfolding. By the time the wheels touched the tarmac, the real story was just beginning, and nobody knew how it would end. The moment the flight landed, the lawyer kept her composure, quietly gathering her belongings while her mind raced. She wasn't just a passenger, she had been in high-stakes courtrooms countless times, fighting battles that others couldn't even imagine. But today, the courtroom had somehow come to the airplane, landing in the form of a sharply worded court order that now rested in her briefcase. The passenger, still embarrassed and unsure of what had just happened, avoided her gaze. He had no idea that his simple mistake might trigger something far larger than a spilled drink. Around them, other passengers whispered, stealing glances at the papers that hinted at legal drama. None of them fully understood. Some wondered if this was just a private matter, while others speculated about lawsuits, fines, or even criminal consequences. As they moved through the crowded terminal, the lawyer's phone buzzed. Messages and calls from her office began to come through, each one carrying a sense of urgency she couldn't ignore. The spill had been a spark, but the fire was already spreading, drawing in lawyers, courts, and perhaps even authorities. Every step she took felt heavier, charged with the tension of a story that had barely begun and could explode at any moment. As the lawyer stepped off the plane, she felt the weight of the court order pressing on her like an invisible force. It wasn't just about the spilled drink anymore. The document hinted at a much larger legal battle, one that involved negligence, personal liability, and questions of accountability that stretched far beyond the confines of the airplane. Every word she read on her phone and in the papers seemed to layer new tension on an already charged situation. Meanwhile, the passenger replayed the accident over and over in his mind. He kept thinking it was just a mistake, a clumsy moment he could apologize for, and move past. But with the sudden involvement of a court order, reality sank, and this was no ordinary mishap. Whispers of potential lawsuits and public exposure made his stomach churn, as he wondered if his life would be upended before he even reached his destination. Other passengers who had witnessed the incident were now forming their own judgments. Some felt sympathy for the lawyer, admiring how she remained composed under pressure. Others speculated about the passenger's side of the story, questioning how a simple accident could escalate so fast. In the midst of all this, the lawyer received another call, this one from an unexpected source. Someone was watching, someone who seemed to know more about the situation than anyone on that plane. The stakes were rising, and it was clear that the real conflict was only beginning to unfold. The terminal seemed to shrink around them as tension thickened in the air. The lawyer moved quickly, her heels clicking against the floor, each step echoing the urgency of the situation. Her mind raced through possible scenarios, every option weighed with the precision of a courtroom strategist. She knew the spill had been a spark, but what now demanded her attention was far bigger. The court order, the calls from her office, and the sense that someone was already maneuvering behind the scenes. The passenger followed at a cautious distance, still unsure whether to confront the situation or disappear into the crowd. Guilt gnawed at him, but so did fear. The idea that a simple mistake could escalate into legal consequences, public scrutiny, or personal ruin was overwhelming. He noticed people staring, some whispering, others glancing at the documents he couldn't see. Everyone seemed to sense that something extraordinary was happening, something that could explode at any moment. Back in her office, messages poured in from colleagues, each one more urgent than the last. A potential legal strategy had to be mapped out, and time was slipping through her fingers. Meanwhile, the mysterious caller added another layer of tension, hinting at information that could change everything, but not revealing how. As the lawyer and passenger approached the waiting area, the air between them felt electric, every movement loaded with anticipation. The scene was set. The players were in position, and the moment that could define everything was just about to arrive. Just as the lawyer reached the waiting area, her phone buzzed again, this time with a message that made her pause mid. The court order she had thought was urgent was only the beginning. A second notice had arrived, one that implicated not just the passenger but also a major airline corporation. The spill was no longer just an accident. It had somehow triggered a chain of events that could expose negligence, liability, and hidden safety violations. Her heart raced as she realized the scope of what was unfolding. The passenger, noticing her sudden hesitation, tried to speak, but she waved him off, her eyes fixed on the phone. The tension between them shifted from embarrassment and guilt to a shared awareness that they were both caught in something far bigger than either had anticipated. Around them, other passengers sensed the shift, their curiosity growing into quiet anticipation, as if the terminal itself was holding its breath. Meanwhile, the mysterious caller from earlier followed up with cryptic information. There were witnesses, video evidence, and even a confidential report that could change the entire legal angle. Every piece of new information pulled the story deeper into uncharted territory, raising the stakes for everyone involved. As the lawyer and the passenger exchanged a look, it was clear that what began as a simple spill was now a complex, high-stakes conflict, and the climax was fast approaching. The tension in the terminal snapped as the lawyer finally confronted the passenger, her calm authority cutting through the nervous murmurs around them. With a steady voice, she explained that while the spilled drink had seemed minor, it had inadvertently uncovered a much larger issue. The airline had been failing to follow critical safety protocols, and the court order now gave her the authority to take immediate action. The passenger's eyes widened in shock, realizing that his accident had set off a chain reaction with consequences no one had anticipated. As lawyers from her firm arrived, coordinating with airline officials, the story escalated into a full-blown investigation. Witnesses were interviewed, footage reviewed, and internal reports examined, all pointing to a pattern of negligence that the airline could no longer ignore. The lawyer remained composed, guiding each step with precision, while the passenger, humbled and anxious, stayed by her side, understanding how his small mistake had turned into a pivotal moment. Just when it seemed the story had reached its peak, a final twist emerged. The mysterious caller revealed themselves in person, a whistleblower from inside the airline, who had been tracking the situation from the start. Their evidence not only confirmed the lawyer's case, but hinted at an even deeper conspiracy, one that could take the fallout far beyond this single flight. The terminal, once just a place of travel, had become ground zero for a story nobody could have predicted, leaving everyone wondering what would happen next. In the days that followed, the airline moved quickly to address the issues uncovered during the investigation. Safety protocols were overhauled, staff received mandatory training, and internal audits were launched to prevent future incidents. The lawyer's role became widely recognized not for the spilled drink itself, but for how her professionalism and quick thinking had uncovered a much larger problem. She returned to her office, satisfied that her actions had not only protected passengers, but also held a powerful corporation accountable. The passenger, once anxious and embarrassed, found a sense of relief and humility. He reached out to apologize again, this time understanding the true impact of what had happened. Surprisingly, the two developed a mutual respect, their unexpected connection born from a shared experience that had changed both of their lives. Even the mysterious whistleblower faded into the background, their evidence now part of official records, leaving the story with a quiet but powerful resolution. The airport returned to its normal rhythm, but for those involved, nothing would feel ordinary again. What had started as a simple accident became a story of accountability, courage, and unexpected consequences, a reminder that even small actions can trigger events far beyond anyone's imagination. The lessons lingered, leaving everyone who heard the story thinking twice about what